And in this manner, in various cases, we've been able to start setting new standards whereby people are feeling worried that, look, people will ask us. The very fact that you start asking somebody, there is no monitoring earlier, the citizen didn't ask, nobody asked. You went once in 5 years, voted and came back, and then you felt helpless. You felt I can't do anything. And everybody said that. Of course, that feeling of what I call learned helplessness is part of the fault of the Indian elite. The Indian elite will do, when they are threatened for something, they will all get together. If medical college students are told they've got to go to a village and do service or pay more money, they'll agitate, get together, their reservations, various kinds of things. All kinds of sections of society do get together and make their things fit. But when something is general for the people of India, everybody, who the hell cares? What goes of my father kind of thing. There, yes?
So, does a person filing an application get an anonymity, or does the name get publicized to whoever the receiving end is?
Oh, there's no immunity systems at all of this nature in India. And all I can tell you is, when I have myself been using it with fairly strong kind of results. And this hits the Prime Minister of India, the Chief Ministers of the state, the Police Commissioner, and nothing's happening. Nobody's even bothered to threaten me. I mean, that's really the truth. Quite often in Bombay, people say, oh, you are a hero, people will say threatening me. I told them, nobody's ever threatened me. How is that possible? I said, that I don't know unless I go and ask people why people threaten me. No, I think this whole thing of threats, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. Certainly in the rural areas, there is some element of this. But it's not as bad as it's made out also. The fact is, the Indian citizen has this great feeling of helplessness. I can't do anything. And I'm so scared. And yet, most of these people, the moment it comes to their own selfish interests, they are all tigers. So it's not as if, but when no, something will happen to me, somebody will come and hurt me, etc. is the normal excuse that people give. Yes?
Does RTI protect against misinformation, like say I ask the accounts for a certain road building or something. They watch the numbers and give it to you. It's a response, but you don't know if it's the right thing or not.
Okay, the Act says giving misleading or false information is an offence, punishable again. A question that people say is, how will we know that it's false information? See, there are other provisos. One is, of course, to ask for information in terms of copies or information as such. You can also ask for inspection of files. You can actually go to an office, sit and say, I want to inspect your files. You can also ask for inspection of works. So you can say, I want to inspect a road. Or I want samples of food, I want samples of medicines from somewhere, so on and so forth. So quite often what I tell people is that if you suspect strongly that the information is wrong, ask for an inspection of work. It means, there of course it means you have to physically go there to that office. You won't get the files to your house. But you can go to that office, inspect. And we have been inspecting files at various places. I've in fact inspected files at the Chief Minister's office of Maharashtra. I've sat in office, meaning not his cabin, but it's a general office. So you go there, they put all the files in front of you and you can inspect it. So something like that, I'm not saying it won't be done, but there is again considerable threat that the public information officer or the system has to give you false information. Having said that, in fact, since you mentioned this, I'll give you one example which is clearly false, but it's not false within RTI, which is the Prime Minister's Relief Fund of India. The Prime Minister's Relief Fund of India, this about 2 years back, I asked for information about some of the accounts and so on. So the answer I got was from the Public Information Officer in the PMO's office, saying that this is not a public authority. The Prime Minister's Relief Fund of India is not a public authority. That's the answer that was given. Filed an appeal, went up to the Information Commission, and ultimately the Information Commission ruled that the Prime Minister's Relief Fund is a public authority and information shall have been provided. The information that I got, and that's still on the website, any of you can check that out, even today it's on the website. It said every year typically they get about 80-100 crores, 120 crores, and they spend order of that. So there's some balance of about 200 crores and so on. 3 years back when the tsunami hit India, about 900 crore rupees come into the fund. They don't say tsunami, about 950 or something odd crores came into the fund. About 100 crores or so was spent. In the subsequent year also, about 100 and some crores come, so that 900 crores keeps sitting with the fund, not spent. I raised this issue and Times of India took it up. I said, what nonsense is this? Relief means relief for people. I mean, tsunami was a major catastrophe. People everywhere donated, meaning it was meant to be for the relief of people. So what's happened? This is embarrassing. The Times of India carried this. The Prime Minister's office gave an explanation next day, which was promptly printed, obviously. It said that this money has been reserved for the education of the children of those hit by tsunami. And they put this on the website. Fair enough. I said, my next RTA application, I said, if there is a system of allocating funds for future disbursals from the Prime Minister's Relief Fund, in the last 3 years, I want to know how much money has been allocated for future disbursals, what purpose, how much amount, and I want minutes of the meeting if this was decided. And the letter from the public information officer is, there is no system of allocating funds for future disbursals. End of story. So, okay, but in RTI he's not giving me a wrong thing. On the website what they've put up is false. What they've told the press is false. Most media of course is not willing to publish this because this, I mean everyone feels so wrong. I mean, you mustn't say everything about it. But these are facts of life. The point is, as we start asking, people start becoming careful. Look, most of these cases, lots of things like this you keep on digging out. There's this chap called Swarup Singh Naik, the Forest Minister of Maharashtra. He was in charge of the forests, not supposed to allow any sawmills in forests, but he was eating money and allowing sawmills to be in forests. The Supreme Court, people had gone to the Supreme Court gave guidelines saying that this just cannot be permitted. And yet he did it. So Supreme Court ultimately sentenced him to 30 days prison for contempt of court. Now, a lot of you will know when powerful criminals in India are sentenced to prison, there's a tradition that they develop pain in the left-hand side of the chest. It's always left-hand side of the chest. Nowhere else will they get this pain. So Swarup Singh Naik also, after one day in prison, said, I've got pain in the chest. He's promptly taken to a JJ hospital in Bombay, put up in the air-conditioned ICU, and is spending his prison term in the air-conditioned ICU. This is all over the media everywhere, and people say, look, this is fraudulent. And this happens often enough. After about 10-12 days, I sent an RT application. I said, I want his medical records. Now, medical records normally would not be given. I would say it's because this would be an intrusion on somebody's privacy. But in that RT application, normally I don't put arguments or why. Incidentally, under right to information, you need to give no reason for asking for the information. The information is yours, in your house or in your computer. You don't need to tell anybody why you are opening a file or your cupboard or your drawer. Similarly, in right to information, one needs to give no reason. But this was the exceptional case where I knew I was overstepping a certain limit. So I said, I believe there is a large